This is Warren Barry, and I'm your host and the founder of Instinctive Solutions. Now, I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Better the Pondcast, where we celebrate people who are doing their part to make the world just a little bit better, one ripple at a time. Now, today, we're diving into a topic that's very close to my heart: the future of our workforce and the incredible opportunities waiting for young people in the trades. I had the pleasure of sitting down with my good friend, Safety Dave Speerbrecker of Thyssen Mining. And let me tell you, this conversation really hits home. We talked about the challenges of attracting youth into the trades, what's getting in the way, and how we can inspire the next generation to roll up their sleeves and do something truly meaningful. Now, if you caught my earlier episode with Josh Wood of West Shore Home, you might notice a theme. The trades just aren't jobs, they're legacies. They're the foundations of our communities, and it's up to us to make sure that we give youth every opportunity to leave their fingerprints on the world. So, grab a coffee, settle in. Let's talk about building pathways, sparking curiosity, and helping the next generation take flight. This is my conversation with Safety Dave Speerbrecker on the Better the Pondcast. Now, I would love to hear your thoughts on this podcast, and if you want to help create ripples along with us, reach on out and let me know. All right, so another live edition of the Better the Pondcast with my good friend, Dave Speerbrecker.
Hey, thanks for inviting me along.
You're very welcome. So, Dave, we have done this before.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
And it was a fantastic conversation.
My family all liked it.
Did your mom approve?
Yes,
Okay, that's good.
I even got the wife approval too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you nailed it. All right,
Nailed it, yeah.
we nailed it.
Yeah.
So Dave, because you've been here before, I think it's probably just going to be easier this time around.
Sure.
That you get to introduce yourself, and then we're going to tell the audience exactly what we're going to chat about today.
Sure. All right. So I'm Dave Speerbrecker. I'm the General Manager of Support Services at Thyssen Mining. I'm a career safety person in the mining industry and working for a mining contractor currently. So a lot of the stuff that I watch over for is also the recruitment side too, not so much as, watching my responsibility, but I certainly see the challenges that we face trying to get some people into the workforce. So,
And not only are you Dave Speerbrecker,
I am Safety Dave.
Safety Dave.
Okay.
So, infamous Safety Dave.
Yeah.
So Dave, the reason I wanted to have this conversation with you, something that we're working on in my company, and I'd like to get other voices and other people involved, is to really start to have this conversation about youth and trades. Now there's two sides to this I'm seeing. Is one is about getting the youth into the trade so we can give them a path. That's number one. But number two, looking into the future is going to be the need that's going to be required for getting people in the workforce. And I think we got to really start looking ahead at this problem, because I think we're heading into a bigger problem. I think that maybe some people really
I agree totally. I think there's a real challenge to get youth into trades, and I think it's about educating them early on so they understand the opportunities ahead of them. So yeah, look forward to the call.
So I did, 100%. I had a conversation with Jeff Wood, so we're gonna give him a bit of a shout out. Jeff Wood from West Shore Home, and they're down in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania.
Oh, cool.
What they've done down at West Shore Home is real, it's actually mind blowing what they've done. So BJ Worsen, the CEO, and then Jeff Wood, and they're what they're doing is, just bathroom renovations.
Okay.
But what they're doing to bring people into the organization, especially into the trades, is absolutely remarkable. So I did that podcast with him as well on their location, and it was amazing. So anybody wants to check that out, it was great. So I just want to give them a shout out, again, having these conversations.
Cool.
So, Safety Dave.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I read, it was a study. I got this on my iPad here. It was a 2004 Saskatchewan mining labor market analysis.
Right.
And it was Saskatchewan Mining Association.
Right.
So I just want to start this conversation with saying that here's the problem. Let's put that out front. It says Saskatchewan need to hire 15,631 additional workers over the next decade to meet labor market demand in the mining sector.
That's just the mining sector.
That's just the
Just the
mining
mining
sector.
sector. That's not
So,
about the people who build the mines to get the mine started too, as well, right? So
right.
yeah, there's gonna be a large gap. So what's causing this? I guess is where we should start. If we do a risk analysis of it, what's causing this to occur? So I think one, we have a lot of people coming out of the mining sector that are going to retire, so we need to backfill that stuff too as well. But I wonder, are we educating the people at that younger age about the opportunities within these various sectors, such as the mining sector? We have some large organizations in Saskatchewan, um, and I'm not sure what their uh, plan is or what they're doing currently to try and get that voice out there. I know the Saskatchewan Mining Association is doing a great job. They do the geo venture tours with the
Mm.
teachers.
I was,
Yeah, you were there. You met the team, and I think that's a great one to do. And we love sponsoring, bring them to the shop, show them the equipment, and give the teachers an opportunity to sort of hear about the different things that could be available for younger people coming into the industry. And it's not just mechanics, electricians, but it's also project controls people, project coordinators, specialists in surveying, all those types of people that support an operation, admin people too as well,
mm,
just that support making a mine a mine. And then of course that's mining, right? So that's one industry,
mm.
but there's all the other industries around it that are community industries, building houses. All those I'm sure are suffering similar types of situations. So how do we get to the how do we get to that supply of people? And have them understand that this is a good opportunity.
So let's break this down a little bit. So I was part of that. I went to the
Yeah.
shop and they had the
Hmm.
teachers there, and I mean, everybody got a chance to see the equipment
Yeah.
and the things you do, and it was, I really enjoyed it.
It was
Actually,
fun. Yeah.
well, it's fun. And you actually, because how many people really get to understand, and like when they mining.
Mm.
Okay, nice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there's potash, that's good.
Hmm.
But who gets the chance to see, right? Like the equipment and start to understand what has to happen, and
Hmm.
even the stuff like the robotics and all the
Oh
like
yeah.
all the
Yeah.
stuff that's happening. I think it's like
Right.
it was like, wow, this is really
Yeah.
cool. So, but I'd like to break it down and look at Thyssen Mining and with this program, and what are you doing?
Hmm.
How did it start? Why did it start? And then what are some of the results you're getting out of it? So I'd like just kind of just have that conversation, because maybe that might spur on some possible ideas of what other people, what we can do to help,
Right.
what other people can do to help as well.
Well, it's an interesting thing. We still struggle with trying to, attract people to come to work for us, but I think we're getting a bigger voice and a bigger message out there to have a lot of people come look to us. Now, what we look for, is the people who run the equipment, people who work the underground environment, but we're also looking for engineers, mechanical, electrical, civil, construction, mining, a variety of different types that way too, but then also the administrative side.
Mhm.
So it's, we tapping into the Saskatchewan Mining Association and bringing the teachers certainly has seemed to have just increased the conversation, having the conversation with you, having conversations with others about how do we get our message out there. And then further that, working with some of the northern people too as well, right? Working
Mhm.
with the First Nations group, the Aboriginal people, and understanding how we can bring them into it. Because a lot of this mining is not occurring just in Regina, right? It's Saskatoon, northern Saskatchewan, and then in various sectors all across Canada.
Right.
So I think there's multitudes of opportunities for a variety of different things that could be happening for people. But how do we tap that resource? And I think with what the Saskatchewan Mining Association is doing, that is really bringing the teachers to the table.
Hmm.
They're the ones that teach the kids, and not only just the younger kids, but also there was a few of the teachers there that were in the first from Sask Poly, those colleges, those types of institutes. So again, they can share that message too, and I think that's again we just need to do more of it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
With the teachers having the awareness,
Hmm.
are you seeing a relationship or a result from the teachers having the awareness? I'm hoping they're talking to the students, but is there a result that's occurring because of it? Yes, conversations are great.
I think it's hard to put a finger on it. We're seeing a lot of resumes come in when we do apply for jobs. I also do the signing authority for some of the training that we do, and I see a lot of young people that have no experience starting up, right? Uh, I can't believe kids that age are coming to work for us now, right? Somebody as seasoned as myself, well, they're 19. How could they come to work? But these are the people that we need to have come in now. So I'm seeing that now, right? Um, and I think again, having a good network, and I think maybe some social media helps with a lot of
Mhm.
that too as well. Having a good network, you hire a few people, but then as an organization or any organization, having good programs and good processes just helps attract as well as maintain the people you currently have with you too. So
When you look at Tyson mining and or mining in general, because you mean you guys across
right.
across Canada, but and then we talked a little bit earlier about it like attrition. So as with the aging workforce that's occurring, right, and the
Hmm.
boomers and all those people are kind of moving out. When we look at how many, from what you see, how many people do you think will be moving out of the industry? In the next
10 years,
10,
5 years.
10,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think it'll be fairly significant especially with the boomers, right?
yeah.
Um, I think in the next 4 or 5 years, we'll see a huge release of them. Then we have the next generation coming in to sort of take over. I think a lot of them have been fairly smart and garnered some financial expertise from the boomers, and they might even see an early retirement happen with some of them. I hear some of
Hmm.
that talking with some of my colleagues too as well.
Oh,
So,
really? Oh,
hmm
so that's interesting.
hmm
So the
yeah,
early retirement,
yeah. They,
right? Not just retirement.
they're in the industry. They were making money. They did some
Hmm.
smart investments, and now they can maybe step away earlier than the
So,
boomers could
so
or
that's
wanted to.
yeah. So
Yeah.
there's an interesting point right there.
Hmm.
Money.
Yeah. Yeah. Money. Yeah.
So, I do talk about my son, and he's a welder,
Yeah.
and I will not give a number, but he's 21 years old. He's a welding in Alberta. He's rigging up,
Hmm.
and I mean, right now the way that it stands is working. I mean, he's making more money than his dad,
Hmm.
and he's 21 years old, right? So in that industry, whether it's going to be welding, construction, mining,
Hmm.
electrical, plumbing, like all the trades, if you just start to think about, right, the revenue stream that can be created, the livelihood that can be created
Yeah.
at an age. So, and you take someone who's gone to university and would great, right? They're
Hmm.
doing the
Yeah.
thing.
Good for you.
But what's happening, they're all going into debt to get this education, which maybe will give them hopefully the same amount of money that
Hopefully.
really
Yeah.
that my son's making right out of the gate. So
Yeah.
in the trades, and if you actually are smart about your money, the boomers, right?
Yeah.
That's what gave me this thought, is you will already out of the gate be way better off than the generation before you.
Correct. Yeah.
And the people also that want to go and do academia, fine, that's great. But the tradespeople actually have a leg up from a
It's
financial
yeah. They're
career standpoint for family and then generation
right.
after that.
Well, a lot of the apprentices, for example, they'll come and do the work, and then they'll take 3 months or 4 months off and go to school, and then they'll come back to the job. So they're constantly making a flow of income. Whereas if I go to school in university, I'm going to school for 8 months of the year. I might get a job for 4 months, but again, all those jobs aren't high paying. So now I'm just incurring more debt, right? Because I
Right.
still got to feed myself, got to pay rent, got to have a car, got to have all that whole social activity. So I think when you look at the trade sides, that's the offset, right?
Mhm.
You're not buried in debt. So now I come out of that. I got my tickets, right? So, to your son's point, right? He could probably turn around and buy a house fairly easily.
Mhm.
He's probably got a nice vehicle and things are getting paid for.
Yeah.
And things are moving forward. So I think that drives the economy too as well. So
Hmm.
it's a grand discussion to have. One, youth and trades. Let's do that, right? But what's the ripple effects from all that too as well, right? So we
Hmm.
could see the economics of it, right?
Right.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so but we do need doctors. We do need lawyers. We do
Hmm.
need all those people to do
Hmm.
as well. So I think we need to focus on what's best for you too, right?
Well, one of the things I've been thinking about lately is, and I'll do a video on this down the road.
Oh, yeah.
This is an idea that's in my head,
Okay.
but um, and I guess my point to the video when I do this is going to be, since when did we decide that a gavel was more important than a hammer? when did we decide that a scalpel was more important than a utility knife?
Right.
Right? When did we decide that sitting behind a computer and crunching numbers and whatnot, right, was more important than go out and actually building a physical product for people to use?
A measuring tape.
A measuring tape. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Was more important than a measuring tape.
Right.
Where along the line did we decide that one was more important than the other, or one had greater value than the
That's a
other?
great question. What drove that?
I
Is it
saw.
a need for our, as a parent, is it a need for our children to do better than what we did? Uh, I went through the mining industry. I worked hard. I don't want my kids to work that hard. I want them to do something different, right? I can afford to send them to school now. Maybe missing that whole opportunity. Hey, this is a great trade. This look at the income I made, right?
So let's open up a bit of a can of
Oh
worms.
boy, not again.
Some if you want, you can take away a can opener. You're allowed to take away a can
All
opener.
right, okay.
But no, and I mean this in all seriousness because and even when I talk about the story about my son, right,
Mhm.
is the big joke my son and I have now, right, is like, gee, not bad for the dumb kid, right? That I
Right.
mean that's
Yeah.
the joke,
Yeah.
and I mean it in jest. But I mean, I like to go back to when I was in high school. Now, I was very fortunate. So I went to Walter Murray High School in Saskatoon.
Okay.
My highest marks in high school came from motor mech,
Hmm.
construction, welding, machining, and electrical. Highest
Huh.
marks. And because in my brain, how I work
Hmm.
is I could learn, right, a practical. So it was practical science, practical English, practical math, like
Right.
physics theoretically is like my head was going to
Yeah.
explode. But yet, if I was going to look at, construction or how do things move physically, I was like, well, that makes complete sense to
Yeah.
me, right? And my son had we have these conversations. So what I find interesting is that going back to that. So I was fortunate. I had that in my school. Not
Right.
all schools
No,
did.
they don't.
And they're taking it away in some schools,
Yeah.
which drives me a bit insane. But with that is there was a school, so here even in Regina, there was Cochrane High
Hmm.
School, right?
Yeah.
So Cochrane High School was kind of like we call it a trade school, is that
Yeah.
sort of fair? But Cochrane High School, that's where the dumb kids went.
Hmm.
That's where the troublemakers
Hmm.
went. That's where they went. And I think that was part of that stigma is like, well, if you can't be an academic over here and have high marks in physics and algebra and science and chemistry, then you weren't smart.
Hmm.
And that I think was part of that sort of idea that sort of came around. And I don't know where and why it started, but
Right.
I think that's where the part with the gavel was much more important, clearly, than the hammer,
Absolutely.
right? I'm not sure from your experience, I'm seeing a change, but boy, that has been a slow moving train.
Well, the education system is an institute, and it's been around a long time. This is how they do things, right or wrong. This is how they do things. We get people educated. It's interesting you mentioned about Cochrane. My uncle was actually the principal at Cochrane
Oh,
for
is he?
years. Yeah, 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 yeah. So when I was going to university here, I would go visit him at the school, and I got a tour of it, and it was fascinating that the trades and skills they were actually teaching kids at that young age. They were actually tearing motors down and putting them back together.
Mm,
Passing grade was get it to run again.
yeah,
So, and hey, we all need that, right? We all drive cars. We all need these things fixed. So, yeah, so it's unfortunate that moniker got stuck that hey, you're troubled or you're not as smart as everybody else. You go here. But yeah, hey, maybe this isn't for you. Maybe this is more for you. Is maybe the conversation should have went, right?
right,
Yeah. Because yeah, nobody wants to go to someplace where you're gonna get stigmatized by it, right?
right.
So I think maybe that's how we got to approach it. And I think that's happening, but I agree. I don't think it's happening in as fast as we would like to see it happen, right?
So, so let's look at this. I love where this conversation is going
Hmm.
because actually, to be truth be told, Dave and I didn't know where this was going to go.
Yeah, I
So this is
wasn't
going
sure
to
either.
happen. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but this is fantastic. So let's look at this through the eyes of the education system. It's
Hmm.
an institution. Now, let's be clear. I'm not out to bash anybody or make them wrong or do those
No,
things,
no,
right?
no.
Like it's
The education system is what it is.
it is
It's
what it
it's it's
is, right?
helping it's helping the students get an education. Yeah. So
100%.
yeah.
But the thing is, when we look at these, and I this is interesting because when we look at these kids that are the trades,
Hmm.
that are driven to trades, they are naturally talented to work with their hands, physicality, quality. They want to put things together in
Hmm.
there, and this is actually part of brain science. It's part of the work that I do.
Right.
And my joke is, no one from Harvard is ever going to come unplug your toilet,
No, I know.
right? So, right? But they're so smart. So with that is there's a part of the human mind called the cognitive aspect of the mind, which
Okay.
drives human behavior.
Right.
Now, there's part of that piece of driving human behavior why some people, some humans, that we all come batteries included, right? They just have that natural battery pack
Yeah.
to go and build things. Now, what I find interesting is those kids typically, not always, typically don't do well in academia
Mm.
because the fact is, how many kids get to demonstrate their knowledge? I mean,
Hmm.
physically demonstrate their knowledge,
Sure.
right? They don't want to naturally try to explain it because
Right.
that's not how they communicate. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it is what it is.
Correct.
So, so there's this kid. So I kind of look at these kids as the lost souls
Sure.
because they don't know where they belong. Because in their world, when it comes to the education system, typically, I mean, again, I was blessed and there was Cochrane and
Hmm.
those things. But most schools don't have a way for kids to demonstrate their knowledge. So
Sure.
back in the day in grade one, grade two, show and tell. Show was great. Tell wasn't so good, but show
No.
was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I actually here. And
Yeah.
you'd watch these kids light up. Why?
Yeah.
Because they get to talk their language.
Passionate about something.
Because it's their language.
Correct.
Now, you put them in the classroom and say, sit still and hear and do the work. To them, it's like, I don't, and then here we go. Like here's the dumb kid, right?
Hmm.
Which isn't at all what the truth is.
Right.
So I guess where I'm trying to go with this, Dave, is that those kids, and I said those lost souls, what I find is they don't know where they belong. And there's been some really interesting statistics around depression, suicide, crime, and those kind of pieces. Because those kids, because I don't know where I belong, I need to belong somewhere.
Or somebody helps them to belong that may not be in the best of
I'm not,
intentions, right?
that
Right.
might be not heading in the right direction.
Correct.
I mean,
Exactly.
here, come over
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
belong over here, right?
Exactly.
There's an interesting thing to it. So where I was going to take this conversation was, and go back to education because I think it's important, is there's a path, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, and I believe it is a fairly early age, and I'm going to say we see this also in First Nations environment too as
Hmm.
well, is that they can be sort of taken over in this path to the people who may not be so desirable and not doing great
Right.
in society.
Yeah.
There's no judgment, but the fact is, at least I belong somewhere.
Right.
But because I can't be an academic, I'm not smart, I'm not whatever that's the narrative.
Yeah.